Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my latest Journal with Me video. In this video I'm going to be using a plain standard size traveller's notebook insert that I keep inside a vintage light cover from Start Bay Notebooks. And because I'm getting quite near to the end of this journal, I'm going to use an underlay board underneath that left-hand page so that hopefully I can't feel all of the bumps. I've had a new product range launch very recently, and it's part of my everyday journaling range that's available through Craft Stash, and this is the Fresh Start collection. So I'm going to be using some of the stamps and stencils from this collection in my journaling pages. I'm starting off by selecting the two stamps that look like black blobs, and I'm going to put them on these acrylic blocks. And I'm using two different coloured inks from Versa Magic, which are Pixie Dust and Spring Pansy. And these black blobs are actually the outline of some flower designs that I sent over to Craft Stash. And I thought it would be good for you to see how I'm going to use them in my journals. I've already had lots of time to play with these different stamps, and if you follow me on Instagram you may well already have seen some of them in use over there on my journal pages. So I'm going to stamp 3 of these outline flowers in each of the 2 corners that are opposite each other. Now that I'm feeling pretty much recovered from the horrible bug that I came down with pretty much straight after New Year, I'm starting to feel really excited about 2020, and I've kind of got back into my journaling flow, which I'm really happy about. I've been asked quite a few times about how I keep my stamps clean, so I thought I'd leave this bit in the video. I use a product called Stays On Cleaner, and there's a little black brush board. So you just dab some of that solution on there and then brush them onto there. I mean, there's lots of ways to keep your stamps clean. You can use baby wipes, often work really well too. But I got given this years ago by my mum, and I've always used it to keep my stamps clean. Because I'm feeling so much better, I was really in the mood for using lots of nice, bright and fresh colours to kind of reflect my mood and how I'm feeling at the moment. The next thing I'm going to do is add some stenciling to my journal pages, and I'm going to use this text font at the bottom of the stencil. And I'm going to use an ink blending tool and another Versa Magic ink in the colour Wheat. So I'm just checking that colour on the spare paper, and I'm going to then dab the ink straight through the stencil onto my page. And I've used that spare bit of paper to mask off the right hand page, because originally I thought I just wanted it to be on the left. I actually changed my mind and thought it would look really nice if the stenciling went a little bit over onto the other page. So you'll see me move that paper away so that I can carry on stamping right the way across. And I really like the look of that kind of vintage style text next to the freshness of the flowers. I've been asked lots of times to slow down the pace of my journaling videos, so this video is just at twice the speed. So I'd love to know what you think. Is this kind of about right? I just want to make sure that the videos are enjoyable and at a speed where you feel that you can follow along if you want to and get some ideas for your own journals. I'm now adding some stenciling to the top of my page. And again, I'll let it go over onto the right hand side, but I'm just masking off where the flowers are because I don't want the text to go over the top of them. And I really like balancing out my journal pages. So you've probably heard me mention before, something that I do on one page, I often like to do something similar on the other, just so that it has that balanced feel to it. For keeping my stencils clean, I usually just run them under the tap and it gets all of the ink off really easily. The next thing I'm going to do is add some detail into those flowers, and I'm using a black Staedtler pigment liner for this. So I'm loosely kind of doodling around the outside of the flower, and then I'm drawing in some petals and adding some lines. In fact, I'm adding 3 lines inside each of those petals. And I really enjoy doing this. It's a nice, fun, easy process to do. And of course you could add any different style to these flower stamps that you like. And I'm going to do that to each of the 6 flowers on my journal pages. It feels so good to be back documenting in this journal, just taking a little bit of time to get creative, and I'll also be writing about all of the thoughts that are going on in my head at the moment. The next thing I'm going to do is add some scraps of paper to my page, and these curious paper bits come from London Gifties. So I'm tearing around the outside to give that lovely old kind of look to them. And I've gone for 1 grey piece of paper and 1 text paper, which has actually got some of Shakespeare's sonnets on it. And I like that mixture of a plain kind of background with the text paper on top. And I'll keep some of those bigger scraps to put them inside the wallet in my journal for use on future journal spreads. To glue them to my page, I will be using some Pritt Stick. I really like the combination of adding some older style pieces along with something kind of fresh and new. I think it gives a really interesting look to your journal pages. Now that those papers are stuck down, I'm going to look through my stickers. And I recently got some of these pressed flower stickers from London Gifties. I often include real pressed flowers on my journal pages, but this is a great option when your journal's starting to get a bit bulky, because they're nice and flat, but you still get that lovely floral look on your pages. So I'm going to pick one of the big flowers and stick it down right across the edge of that text page onto my paper. I'm also going to add 2 of the smaller flower stickers so that it looks a little bit like some of the petals have started to fall away from the flower. So I'm popping one there on the right hand side, and I then decide in the end to stick one on the left, just in that little gap down near the spine. And I really like the look of how that complements the other flowers on my journal pages. Next, I'm looking through this sticker book, and I've had it for a long time, but I think it's from Powder World on Etsy. And I decide to add the sticker, it's a number 2. And I didn't have a 0, but on the letter sheet there was an O, so I thought that was great. So I've added that there to indicate they're my first pages from 2020. The next thing I'm going to do is use that black Staedtler pigment liner again and just draw 2 wiggly lines around the outside to form a border on my journal pages. I often use washi tape as a form of border, but I thought there was already quite a lot of decoration on the page and I didn't want to lose that detail. And the black lines tie in nicely with the doodles that I've added to the flowers in both of the corners. The next thing I'm going to do is add another stamp to my page, and I'm going to use one that reads, "Always follow your heart." I really enjoyed putting this collection together, lettering out different quotes that I thought would be really nice to use in your journals at the start of a new year. And I'm going to add that right at the bottom so that it overlaps onto the 2 pieces of paper that I stuck down into my journal. I'm always really worried that the stamping won't come out clearly, particularly when you're dealing with spongy journal pages, but that one came out really nicely. And the final decoration I'm going to add are these little dots. And these were actually taken from some watercolour splotches. So I created a flower in watercolour that I sent over to Craft Stash, and they managed to scan in those splotches, and I really like that effect. So I'm adding some of the purple ink to that stamp, and I'm putting it up there on the left-hand page, again just to balance out a little bit with the flowers that I have on the bottom right. Some of that torn paper had lifted up slightly, so I'm just adding a little dab of glue to make sure that it stays securely stuck down. I'm now using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib to letter in the date of these journal entries. For the rest of my journal writing, I'll be using a TWSBI 580 AL fountain pen. And as always, I will try and leave links to all of the products that I've used down in the description box below. For my writing, I'm kind of reflecting on how I felt during the first couple of weeks of the year. I was really frustrated because I usually start a new year feeling so excited and with lots of ideas and plans in place of the things that I want to do. And of course, just because I wasn't feeling very well, that didn't happen, and I was getting so frustrated with myself, but in the end decided to just take the pressure off until I felt better. And I'm definitely now on the other side of that, and I'm really excited, and things that I couldn't even really think about properly when I was feeling poorly have now all cleared. And so I've got lots of ideas, things that I want to share and things that I want to do during 2020. So these journal pages really reflect that, I think, both in terms of the colours I've used and what I've been writing about, that I'm ready now for that nice kind of fresh start full of excitement and energy. I really hope you've enjoyed watching this video and that you've had a great start to 2020. Let me know how you've been getting on in the comments section down below. If you have enjoyed watching this video, it would be great if you'd leave it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them down below. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you really soon in the next one.